Well, it's a beautiful late September day here in Pittsburgh, and it looks like the bees are working some flowers here, whatever this bush is. I'm not really sure what kind of bush that is, but there's definitely some bees working it and enjoying it. And we also have goldenrod here, which they are still pursuing quite a bit. You can see there's one underneath there. I'm not wearing full bee gear, but I will get a little closer to this. This is a honey super that we sort of partially harvested, but mostly the honey in this particular super was not capped, meaning the bees in the hive had not put on a full wax capping. And so that's really our best assurance that the honey is the proper moisture content for long-term storage. If it's too high in moisture content, which is generally the case when it's first put in the hive, then it will ferment and you'll get alcoholic honey. So I'm trying to very carefully work my way around here. There's a lot of bees in the grass. I don't know if you can see, they're sort of like hanging out down here in between, I guess, attempts to get, oh, hello, my friend, and attempts to get into the honey super there for cleaning it out. We call this robbing out the honey super, and basically the idea is that since we can't make use of this honey because of its moisture content, that we will give it back to the bees. And they'll go in there, as you can see, and empty out all of the honey, tell all their friends back at the hive, and before you know it, we've got, well, probably our bees and anybody else's bees that are anywhere within 3 miles. Word gets out, and they all show up here. You see on the edge here, a little bit of fighting going on between these two, right on that edge. Somebody's trying to be pulled off. They sort of get possessive, like this is my found honey super, and I don't want to share it. So there's some tugging and struggling going on, and that's really the worst part about this, is you do end up with a certain amount of injuries and lost bees. Of course, we don't know if they're our bees or somebody else's bees, so there's that. We may be feeding all of the other beekeepers in the area, but we're hoping that most of this honey is going back into our hives to finish off the honey supers that we left in the hive. We will probably harvest our fall honey in about a week, and we're hoping that they finish capping off the ones in the hive so we can do that. So from the top, this box looked like, you saw that the frames are right up at the top, and now you can see there's a gap at the bottom. So I just want to mention that the honey supers tend to be thinner. They're shorter boxes so that they won't be too heavy. This is called a deep box, and the honey supers are usually what we call a medium. And the main reason is that is for weight, because a full medium honey super is very, very heavy. I'm going to back up because somebody's taking a keen interest in me. So this is a medium box, and that's why the frames don't go all the way to the bottom. If this were an actual, or this is a deep box, but the frames are medium. Honey frames are usually mediums, and they go in a medium box, and they would go to the bottom. So that's why there's kind of this weird cavity here. We have put medium frames in a hive just like this in a deep box, or mix them in as it's necessary sometimes. And what the bees will do is they will fill that space at the bottom of the box with honeycomb. We call it wonky comb because it sometimes goes in directions that don't really fit with the rest of the structure of the hive. Because bees cannot tolerate anything that's more than bee space, which is, I don't know, it's like 3/8 of an inch or so. There's an actual number for that. I just don't remember what it is. It's basically the height at which a bee can walk around. And so anything that's more than bee space, they fill up with comb. In fact, on the top of these frames, you can see there's little bits of comb where they were joined to the box above them, or the frames above them at one point. And they just can't tolerate extra space. So they'll fill up that void in the bottom with all kinds of honeycomb. And if it's a honey super, meaning it's above a queen excluder, so it can't be laid in, they can't put eggs in it, they can only put honey. If it's a honey super, you end up with a really easy way of getting comb honey, because that's what you end up with down there, because it's not on a wood frame. So we just cut that off and we get a little bit of comb honey, which some people seem to really enjoy. I think it's hard to eat. I like it out of the jar. So that's how we get ours in our house. We just use it right out of the jar. But of course I'm wearing a microphone, so you can't hear the buzzing, but there's quite a loud general hum here from all the bees coming and going. And hopefully you can see that. They're kind of backlit as they take off and head home to the hives, which are over those trees across the creek, and they're probably football field lengths away, probably 100 yards or so, as the bee flies through those trees. You don't want to put supers that are being robbed out too close to the hives themselves, which is why we have it up here. If you have it too close to the hive, then all of those bees are attracted by this honey scent, which is very powerful to them, and they don't distinguish between the box that you've left out for them to rob and the hive that happens to be sitting right next to it that has the honey you want to keep and your bees. And they will rob out, the neighboring hive. So you want to take your equipment that you're trying to have the bees clean up, and that's really what we're doing here, is we're just letting the bees clean this honey up. So they get the honey, and maybe we get it, in the harvest we do next week, to fill up the ones that aren't already full. So they'll cap them and finish them off for us. But also, this gets all the honey out of the equipment, because they will clean it to the point where it's not even sticky anymore. It's quite astounding. They'll lick it completely clean, and then we can store it without worrying about ants and stuff like that finding it. So this kind of serves them, and it kind of serves us. So it's a great way of getting, I don't want to say getting rid of, but dealing with the honey that's just not going to make it in time to be harvested this year. At least not those entire frames. There's just not enough in there. They won't cap what's in there because they're not full enough. So anyway, so that's what we do this for. But yeah, you don't want to do this too close to the hives, because they get the wrong idea and they just start robbing honey everywhere. And when they do that in a hive or off a frame that's already capped, they just rip the cappings off to get the honey out as fast as possible, and it's really destructive to the honeycomb. But it also results in a lot of bees being killed trying to defend the hives. And like I said, you can see here and there, you can see there's some fighting going on. Bees being dragged around by other bees. Sorry, I can't get any closer. I might be able to zoom in and stand closer. Maybe we do that. So that's about as close a view as I can give you, because I'm not wearing any bee gear at the moment. I just got this weird selfie stick. But I thought I'd come out and check and see how they're doing. And we will bring this in at night when the crowd dies down. Everybody goes home right about nightfall, and it'll go from this mayhem to nobody. And then the next morning, if you don't get the frame set out before the bees come, they'll be here waiting for it. They will be, it's like they leave a bulletin board in the hive somewhere that says where they left off, and they will all come right back here first thing in the morning looking for this box. And they will do that for days, even several days after they've cleaned it up and we're not setting it out anymore. They'll still be coming back. So it's kind of funny, some of the things that bees do. Well, anyway, that's about all I have to say about this little part of the process. Like I said, I wish you could see better where they're coming and going, but it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to spot them against the sky. All right, well, thank you for watching. See you next time.